Well, hey there, and welcome back in. Now, in this module, we're going to be talking to you about what to do next. You've identified a little bit of information now about your ideal customer, and I just want to caution you on something here for a moment. You might be thinking to yourself, okay, well, I can't work it all out right now. What if it changes, or what if I work some more out later on, or how long does this take to do? I want to be really clear. Identifying your dream customer or your tribe is an ongoing journey that you will always be doing. Why? Number one, you're not going to work it all out straight away. This is a learned process. This is something you're going to be researching and learning about forevermore when you're in business. But the other thing is that they change, as do you, as does the environment around you. So while our dream customer was one particular way 10 years ago, they're a very different way now because technology has changed and the way that the businesses in this industry have changed. And in recent times, there are a lot of fears around, the industry as a whole, because a lot of companies have changed and moved to affiliate style marketing or closed down altogether. And so the concerns, the things that keep our audience up at night are very different today as to what they were 5 years ago or even 2 years ago. So this is going to be an ongoing process for you. I want to be very clear about that. It doesn't matter if today you learn just 2 or 3 new things. There are 2 or 3 things you didn't know yesterday that are going to help you better communicate and connect with your dream customer.
Don't want you to be scared of that. I think it's super exciting because it's about relationship, and this whole industry is driven by the power of relationship. To give you an example of that, can you imagine if the first time I met Sam, she's like, wow, this guy really gets me. And I understood all this stuff, quite a significant amount of stuff. But then 10 years later, the questions from me were the same. The things I knew were the same. I didn't learn one single thing since then. She's going to be pretty bored of that. So relationships constantly grow and evolve, and there is much space for you to benefit from learning new things. So continue to date your customers, continue to grow. And like we said before in the previous module, go back and update. If you're using an AI tool to do this, go back and update it. Go and put some more sticky notes on your wall. Whatever it is that you're keeping information about your dream customer, keep adding to that because it's just so powerful to keep learning.
Now, some of the strategies that we teach you throughout the Academy training also helps you to identify this information. Remember that every time you do an engagement post, you are asking a question to help you better understand that person. These are very specific strategies to help you better connect and build that relationship. So let's talk in this module a little bit about dating your customers. So what are some important factors when it comes to dating your customers? First of all, you want to ask yourself, how do you want your customers to feel? Remember that people don't remember what you said, but they do remember how you made them feel, and they buy through emotion. So we also want to know, how are we leaving people when they come into contact or exposure with us? The thing to keep in mind here is you can be intentional about this or not, but you're still going to leave people feeling a particular way. I see a lot of people doing this without realizing what they're doing. So we want you to be intentional about how you leave people feeling. I was having a really great conversation with a special friend of mine who's another speaker in the industry. I've known her for years, and I rang her a couple of years ago, and she answered the phone. And by the time I got to the end of the conversation, I was like, oh my goodness, Lindsay, do you realize that every time I speak to you, I just feel so much more joy than I did before I got onto the phone with you? And she said, oh, yeah, of course. She said, that's deliberate. I said, what do you mean that's deliberate? She said, I set an intention that I wanted everyone I came in contact with me to feel more joy because of that contact. She said, I do that on purpose. And then I also set myself the challenge. If I can't have that impact on someone, I'm not answering the phone. So if I don't feel like I can make them feel joy, or if the post I'm about to put up on social media isn't going to leave them feeling joy, I'm not doing it, because that is an intention that I'm setting for myself. This is how I want people to feel because it's how I want them to remember me. So be intentional about how you want them to feel. Also asking yourself, what do I have to offer? Now, what you have to offer is not just your product. And a lot of people assume the product is everything, but it's not. You are leading with you. You're what you're selling first. You have knowledge, you have passion, you have things that you do and you are that your audience want to hear from or about. So What do you have to offer outside, over and above your products or your business opportunity?
And Sam, I just want to jump onto that one because people say, oh, yeah, I see what you have to offer, Sam. And I see what Barbara has to offer. And I see what John has to offer. But me, no. I don't have anything to offer. Well, I promise you do. And it is so powerful on this target customer journey to identify what it is that you have to offer people, the things that they really want to come to you for. And whether it's one heart that you get to touch, that is so, so powerful to really make a difference in one person's life, a really core difference. Or it might be 1,000, but whatever it is, it's going to be really special to you because whatever you're called to do, when you do it, it feels great.
Now, remembering if you were going on a date and you were getting to know this person, you're going to ask yourself a lot of these same questions. How do I want to impact this person? What impression do I want to leave? Which is, how do you want to leave them feeling? You also want to know what you bring to the table. What do you have to offer? You're not going to go to a date and go, well, there's nothing to me. You don't want to date me. You're going to go to the table and go, I know what I have to offer and what makes me special. And so that's what you're going to the table with. But you're also going to identify and explore things you have in common, because that is, while there are things you have that are different, it's also the core of what makes your relationship something special, and it gives you something to talk about. And then from there, how are you going to continue to connect with them? So how do they like to be connected with? How do they like to be communicated with? Is it just going to be through social media? Probably not. You might do in person. You might be on the phone. It might be Messenger. It might be text. It might be email. But what are some of the other ways you are going to connect with this person? So from here, what are we going to do with all of this information? Well, I want you guys to start creating a little bit of a process, a plan. So name this person. I like naming this person. This is just a me thing. I know, Greg, that's not a you thing. But the reason I do this, and by the way, it must be the right thing to do because ChatGPT does it without being asked. But just saying. But the reason I think this is important is because you can constantly be asking yourself, what would Emily like? Which image would Emily be more attracted to? What wording would Emily be more likely to process here? How would I explain this to Emily? Would Emily care about this? Do Emily and I have this in common or not? And so start asking yourself questions as though you've got this dream customer persona in your mind. It's going to make it a lot easier for you to I want you to obsess over this person, by the way. I want you to get really clear and really connect with this person because you want them to know they matter.
Sam, about 10 years ago, we did this exercise with a company now. They are a financial services company now. And we actually named their customer, and we didn't tell, we were describing, we worked out all the different things. Anyway, we were talking to another person completely different about it. We described the characteristics of that company. Of that customer. And the person that we were sitting with laughed and said, oh, what's her name? Fiona? And we're like, yeah, it actually is. And that's so cool when you can actually name that customer. Now, if you want to level it up, even better is to put a little picture on the wall that represents that person, a silhouette, something that constantly reminds you every single day, something on your refrigerator, and put some feeling words around it, the kind of feelings they have. The things that we discussed in the previous module, what gets them up in the morning, what keeps them up at night, fill in those details, because the more that you know what Emily thinks, what matters to her, the more you connect with that, the better.
Absolutely. And then from there, you also want to get to know things like what content can you provide that is going to fit within this. You also want to create a posting plan. And remember, there's a module in here all about how to do that. So please make sure you've watched that module. It's going to help you with this process. And then last but not least, ask the question, if I was speaking to this person face to face, how would I talk to them? Your social media shouldn't differ. You shouldn't have different language. You shouldn't have different conversations. A lot of people overthink their social media content because they're trying to perfect it. When in actual case, if you got to sit in front of this ideal target customer and have a coffee with them, you might have a very different conversation. And that's often where people go very wrong. So from there, the question is, what are you giving the algorithm? What posts are you putting out there that's going to tie in to everything we've just talked about? Because this, and I think this sums it up just beautifully, a lot of people continue doing the same thing over and over and over again and wondering why they're getting the same unsuccessful result. And it's usually because they're not paying attention to what they have learned. So date your customers, get to know them, build those relationships. And remember, at the end of the day, this is a process that takes time that you will always be learning about, and it will help you grow your business in a very special new way. Every piece of training, by the way, that you will find inside of Academy links back and relates back to your tribe. So if you haven't done this yet, get clear on this, and it might just be the starting of this process. But every time you create your social media plan, every time you put a post out there, every time you look at your insights, ask yourself, what did I learn today? What's something that I can do to help me better understand this particular person?